Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, YouTubers. This is Jerry Diamond with How to Get Out of Babylon. Okay, so I'm talking about salt inhalers, okay? And I wanted to talk about a couple of how I first came about finding out about them. I started reading, I did massive amounts of research online, and I read about salt pipes, and I read about the fact that in Europe there were caves, where people go down in the cave and they would have lighting and therapy and, they could go for long walks in the tunnels, or they could just lay back in a recliner with a sun lamp or something. So they had a lot of different therapies you could do down there, but it was all in the environment of a heavily salt, negative ionized environment. Very healing, very calming. You go down there and sleep for 8 hours, I think. So anyway, I got very excited, told my wife about salt pipes, and she goes, "That's stupid." And I said, "Well, they say that in Europe they have caves, salt mines where you can go down in there." She goes, "Oh yeah, I was in one." So suddenly it wasn't so stupid. She'd been in one and she remembered it, immediately, because her father had been stationed in Germany, and they were stationed all over Europe when she was a child. So she remembered that. So suddenly it was okay. It was a good idea. They did it. Yeah, it's a good idea. So the thing of it is that people who work in salt mines almost never have any kind of sickness, no respiratory sickness. They're always healthy. They don't get sick. Period. Because of that. And the same thing with probably sailors on the ocean where the spray, they're up against the surf or the pounding of the waves on the ship, very high salt environment, very high negative ionized environment. Okay, so back to the story. So I got the idea across, and I thought, well, what can I do to make a salt pipe? I don't want to spend $50 to buy one just on an experiment. So I took a white vitamin bottle, I poked holes in the bottom of it with a push pin, and I put salt in, about 1 ounce of sea salt, gray Celtic sea salt. That's what we were using at the time. Used it for about 10, 20 years or better than that. So I put the salt in there, and I'd lay down and get comfortable about to go to sleep, and I put it in the crook of my arm like that, and I'd breathe through it. And I breathed in, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, and I would stop breathing. 4 breaths, and I would stop breathing. I'd be asleep. Then I'd wake up. Wow, that was weird. I stopped breathing. I knew I stopped breathing for about a half a second, maybe 3/4 of a second. I don't know. It wasn't long. It wasn't scary at all. It was just very, very pleasant, very calm, because my body had taken in so much oxygen. My blood was, the lungs are parasympathetic. They only work when they're told to work. No, they always work, unless they're told not to. So you don't have to say breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Your lungs are going to do that. Well, what happened was, and this is virtually every time I did it, I experienced that every time. I would inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, and on the 4th exhale, I would just for about half a second, I'd just stop breathing, and I'd be dreaming, and I'd be asleep in that 3 seconds, 3 or 4 breaths, I'd be asleep too. So I'd pause, not breathe, wake up, and go, "Wow, that was really cool." So that told me a lot. The pink Himalayan salt lamp is supposed to give off negative ions, and I was talking to a friend of mine about that, and he said, "I've never seen any research now." I said, "I don't care about research. I care about the fact that it works." And I said, because a friend of mine had sleep apnea, and he said, "Jerry, what can I do for sleep apnea?" And I said, "Well, you need negative ions. A negative ion generator would help." I said, "A pink Himalayan salt lamp is supposed to give off negative ions." So he got one a little while later. I asked him, I said, "How's your sleep apnea doing?" Because when this guy has person has sleep apnea, neither the spouse can't sleep because they're wondering if it's going to die. They'll pause for, just literally stop breathing for several seconds, and they're like, this just freaks you out. Um, so he said, "It's just great." He said, I use it, but if it gets unplugged, or, if somebody dusted and unplugged it or whatever, I have to plug it back in within 2 or 3 days. It lasted for 2 or 3 days. The effects of the negative ions from the salt lamp would last for 2 or 3 days before you'd have to plug it back in, before you'd realize it was unplugged or somebody, whatever. So that was impressive. Now, the same person that said no research validated the idea of the salt lamp giving off negative ions, said he put one on his stove in the house, and he said there's no dust in that room at all, no dust in the house at all. I'm like, well, there's verification that it's negative ions, because negative ions they bond with dust particles and drop them out of the air, so you're not breathing the dust. The lint and the mite and the dander from pets and whatnot, it drops it out of the air, because that's just what negative ions do. So pretty impressive. So those are a couple of 3 stories. So my initial thing was that, yeah, it boosted my oxygen intake by so much that I would stop breathing. Now another thing that happened very recently, not recently, but right off the bat with it was my son had bought a small 10 by 50 trailer, and my youngest son Isaac was helping him move it or cleaning it out to move it. All right, so there's a big mattress in there, and my youngest son, dropped it, and he took a big lungful of the crap that was below it. Well, my friend said that when you get home, make colloidal silver and nebulize him. I said, okay, yeah. Well, I forgot. Idea being was, he said there were rats in there, not just mice. There were rats in there, and he's going to get hantavirus, and he's going to get sick. So nebulize him before that happens. So I forgot. He got sick about 2 or 3 nights. He started coughing, and that went on for 2 or 3 nights. Every time he would cough, I'd wake up. So long story short, after 3 nights of that, I was like, I can't take it anymore. And at that same time, he used to be really on par with me emotionally and intuitively, emotive, empathic, He showed up at the door of the room and he goes, Dad, I can't take this anymore. Can you make me some colloidal silver? And I said, sure, I'll make you colloidal silver. So I did the 3 minutes back down, a few drops of solid saline solution and, mix it up and make colloidal silver in 3 minutes. So I said, here, I handed the salt pipe and I said, here, breathe in this into your mouth, out through your nose until the colloidal silver is ready. And then I'll go out and get the nebulizer. The airbrush compressor that I was using was the nebulizer. So anyway, he started breathing in through that, exhale. And by the time the colloidal silver was done, I looked down, he was sound asleep. And I said out loud, I didn't care if I woke my daughter up, my wife up. I said, are you awake? Are you sleeping? I tried to wake him up and he didn't give any indication that he heard me at all. He never coughed that night. He never coughed again, period. It was amazing. So that was almost miraculous. So that was very impressive. Okay, so that's some of the stories of the dust-free home, the sleep apnea, and he had gotten hantavirus, Isaac with hantavirus, and that helped him get over that. It cleared up his lungs. So basically it sterilizes your lungs. So you inhale through your mouth, exhale through your nose, and the deeper you can inhale, the better off it is, Get it down deep into the lungs, especially if you got something like pneumonia or something. Get it down in there. I know it hurts. You just breathe in as deep as you can. It'll get easier to get it in deeper. So there you go. All right. Well, that's about it. So you get a case of the salt shakers for right about $40, $35 for the case and $5 shipping is what it was. So they're heavy. I don't know why they charge anything for shipping, but whatever. Okay, so anyway, that's it. And then you just put it in, get about 1 ounce of salt in. I don't know if you can see that. It's only about that deep. I could put more in it. But if you put too much in it, you can feel it kind of constricting the flow. So you want it so where you can breathe in easily. Out through my nose. So there you go. I can go to sleep now. That's so calming. Oh man. Wow. Okay. Good night. Hope this helps everybody. So I would advise everybody. See, I've bought about 10 or 15 cases of these over the years. That's 48 per case. 50. Let's say about 10 cases of them. I bought 500 of these over the years. Now a lot of them have gotten lost or destroyed. Leave them outside. They get rust on them. They get soaked in water. People don't take care of them. My kids didn't take care of them. Nobody cared about it. Well, these are one of the most valuable things you can possibly do. Because with that thing in your pocket, and I can carry that in my pocket 24/7. You can put it in your purse. One can put it in her purse. You can put it in a butt pack. Have that with you 24/7. And if there is any question, you can walk into a Walmart or something, and I'm not gonna say do it in Walmart, but at least go in the bathroom and do it when you first get in there before you leave. Just do it surreptitiously, quietly. Inhale through your mouth, exhale through your nose, and sterilize your lungs before you go in and when you get out. If you're going into any kind of questionable environment, I'm just saying. You could have that with you 24/7. 10 minutes out of the hour should completely keep your lungs free of any problems, any issues. And it's been clearing my lungs up, regular basis. I'm not hacking up anything right now. And it took about 2 weeks for that to clear up, really, And I wasn't being as faithful to do it as I should. So I wasn't as careful to do it as much as I should have been. I knew I should have been doing it more. Anyway, it cleared it up for me. So, all right. God bless everybody. Bye-bye. Please, if you can care about anybody, your family, friends, get a case of these, have them on hand. Go ahead and peel the labels off right away so it doesn't get stuck. The older they get, the harder it's going to be to get those labels off, and you have to soak them or scrape them off, and that's kind of a mess. But get the labels off right away, peel them all off, dump the salt out, keep it for something else. Like the best thing we ever used it for was cold water, soaking clothes that have blood on it, cloths that have blood on it, sheet, shirt, whatever. Good for getting the blood out of shirts. That's what my wife used it for. So anyway, that's a good thing to do with it. But the salt in it is not good for you. It's sodium chloride. It's pure salt. There's nothing in it that's good for the human body because it's overabundance of what you don't need. Your body is a walking ocean of sea salt. Sea salt. You have to have minerals. Watch Dr. Joel Wallach, Dead Doctors Don't Lie and Live Doctors Do Lie. And then there's a video too about a guy that all the health freaks, the gym fix, the runner, doctor this and doctor that died about 59 to 70 years old, even though they're peak of health, they're the top, they're health coaches and whatnot. Well, they died from massive myocardial infarction, from heart attack, because they sweated out all their minerals. You got to have minerals in your body to function. Your heart has to have minerals. You go in the hospital and you're in really bad shape, they'll give you a sodium bicarbonate IV, it'll give you a magnesium sulfate IV, a Epsom salt IV. Just take some Epsom salt. Take magnesium sulfate, take magnesium chloride, take magnesium, the different magnesiums for your heart. It's good for your heart. There's doctors that have written 3 and 4 books on magnesium in the heart. It's very important. Midwives know this very much. All right, so that's it. All right, God bless everybody. Bye-bye. Please get a case of them and keep them on hand or distribute them as you see fit. If everybody that listens to this will get a case or 2 of these and get them out, distribute it out to other people and get the idea across, train them how to use them, like I did, just show them how to use them, how to flip the thing out, how much salt to put in it, just about that much. Half an inch of salt's all it really takes. Very powerful, very thorough, very effective. I'm not saying it's going to cure anything, but it's going to help out a lot. It's going to give you a lot more oxygen in your lungs, and it will sterilize and sanitize your whole breathing apparatus from your, on the way down, all the way back up. Sinuses, nasal passages, everything. All right, God bless. Bye-bye.